hey,
Yeah.
I saw. He's like, I saw that.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Product. Check.
Checking. Feeling good.
Look at that way just a second. Just so I can get my leg under
Yeah,
there better.
there we go.
All right. Check.
Oh yeah.
You know, my phone. So I can get the
yeah.
check. Great. Yeah, I'm feeling comfortable.
Feeling
Nice,
good.
like kind of overcasty day. If you're
Yeah,
stopping
dude.
into the stream, what's up? Episode is about to start.
Yeah. Sun was out earlier. I got some nice sun earlier. Nice and cloudy now.
Yeah, it's a good walk in and out. You know, just now that we're sitting
And it's supposed
here.
to rain soon. Hopefully not too bad. But
Dude, I was saying I want to buy like a nice umbrella.
yeah.
I want to like invest in something cool. Maybe there'll be like some kind of Japanese styled one.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get the intro going. We'll just run this thing easy.
Hell yeah. Oh, getting loose. Getting
Sweet.
loosed up for this one.
Yeah.
New chairs are so nice.
I know, dude. It's like crazy.
I don't feel like I need to like thrash around as bad. My feet actually touch the ground on these, like flat. Nice.
Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna start taking a picture every episode,
Yeah.
like a couple. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I want to start documenting like each like the like precursor to each episode.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Sweet, recording on all levels. All right.
Nice. We got it. We're doing it.
Hello, my Night Owl friends, and welcome to a very special episode of Pumpkin Hill Radio. I'm your host, Travis Wormwood, and with me, as always, is my best friend, Dawson Trailer.
Hell yeah.
and the host,
Yeah.
our other co-host. We're both co-hosts. It's not like I'm hosting.
Yeah,
your
we're
co-host.
definitely co-hosting.
I don't want anybody thinking that I'm the dad here.
Yeah, someone was like, "Oh, I didn't realize you did the podcast with Travis too." I'm like, "Well, you've obviously never listened."
Yeah,
to
you
it
gotta
then."
check. If you listen, you'll.
That's
know
like the first thing you said. And they're like, "Yeah, I haven't yet." I'm
think,
like, "Yeah, it speaks volumes."
About the second sentence in every episode is usually me saying both of our names.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're that person and you are listening, I hope you enjoyed the episode. No shame on you. It's never too late
Yeah.
to join the cult. And
Welcome. Finally.
by listening, welcome in. You are in the cult of the Star Mother. You can join deeper layers of the cult by joining our Patreon and getting exclusive weekly content. Patreon.com/Pumpkin Hill Radio. It is the cult of the Star Mother. It is an audio agreement that you already have signed. If you're this far, it's too late. Welcome in. You've been found.
Yeah.
This is Pumpkin Hill Radio, where we dig into esoteric topics, paranormal mysteries, true crime here and there. It's the year of Bigfoot, so you know we're digging into that all the time.
Yeah.
Any of the weird stuff, anything hiding under your bed, we're digging into basically here. And we're getting pretty
Strangest.
close to becoming masters.
Yeah, I feel pretty good.
We are on the road to 100.
knowledgeable.
I believe this is
Yeah.
episode 89 or 90. So
Oh man.
if you have any
100's on its
suggestions
way.
for our 100th episode, if you want to be a part of that in some way, reach out, pumpkinhillradio@gmail.com. We are on video right now. If you're watching this episode, I believe the episode after this, hopefully it'll look a little different because I'm going to try to do some serious changes to the studio.
Yeah.
Because Dawson and I are real cramped in here.
Yeah, we've been pretty used to this for a while, and I think we're both ready to. We've done a lot of episodes in this system, and it's time to try something different.
Yeah, our knees have been touching for a collective like 80 hours.
We've been crammed. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but like this whole screen is like the exact space we're in.
For the
It
video
goes
watchers,
a little up further up than us.
Yeah.
It's taller ceiling, but like we are kind of just in this box.
we're not really on the beach. We're not really inside
not
a
on the
pyramid.
beach.
The images behind us, it's a falsification. Just to show you, so
Yeah.
y'all don't feel the claustrophobia that we are certainly feeling in
We're
here.
it's very close.
It's like I couldn't get out if I wanted to. If there's a fire, it's
Nope.
game over. So, so that's not going to affect the quality of the episode at all. But next
No.
episode and from
gonna
there
look
on,
different.
hopefully it'll look a little different, maybe a little better. Me and Dawson are going to
Yeah.
try to get more
You
comfortable.
might feel more comfortable.
Yes, we've
It's
recently
gonna feel more comfortable.
we've recently upgraded the chairs, and I think
That's
this
been
is just-
huge.
Once we realized
That was
we could,
step one.
Once we realized we could actually be comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
Now the thing is, we'd kind of done a trial by fire where we learned to talk behind the mic as uncomfortable as possible.
Yeah,
by
this is
kind
where
of
we really take off.
bouncing on top of a bar stool for 2 hours at a time.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
getting uncomfortable.
I can't wait
No
to be-
backrest.
Oh my god. So that's basically what we're doing here, Pumpkin Hill Radio.
Nice.
Or on video. Tell your friends about us. Rate us wherever you can. That really helps. You
It's
telling your
huge.
friends helps more than you can imagine. I can tell when you do. because the numbers go up.
I see that.
And, when people come in and tell me that they have been sharing it with people or they got someone else hooked, it's so nice. And it does happen. And it's just, so what's up to those new ones? What's up to the old ones? We love you.
I love when people come up and tell me how they like it. Like what we're doing.
Yeah.
I love when you tell me in person. Hit the comment, too. Hit some comments. I like that, too. But, like,
we have been
makes me feel really good.
A lot of people that I didn't know have been listening told me that it's like that's something that they actually just like fall asleep to sometimes. And like, that's so
I've heard like someone was telling me they go to the airport a lot and they're just pop you guys on. Like, just take us along for the ride.
Yeah.
Like,
So if we're here on your drive time or if we're tucking you in right now, sweet dreams, baby.
Sweet dreams.
Send your stories.
Drive safe.
And drive safe. If you're driving, don't go to bed. Send your stories in, pumpkinhillradio@gmail.com. Check the Patreon, as I said. Pumpkin Hill Radio, pumpkinhillradio.com. Find all our socials, link to everything. I've been pretty good about posting daily, so check in on that. And join our Patreon to be featured. I actually didn't check the Patreon today to see if we got any new ones, but we'll get to them later. You get a ghost host shout out if you sign up, even on the free tier. So check that in. Let's move along here. Now this will be our Bigfoot episode for the month of June. This is the year of Bigfoot, as I mentioned up top. Where each month we dig into at least one Bigfoot related topic. Last month we tricked you. It was mermaids. We went in with the whole aquatic ape theory.
Bigfoot of the sea.
Probably our most loosely connected to the year of Bigfoot. Hey, like I said, we got to squeeze out 12 of these things. I mean, but so today will be a fun episode. We're going to dig into our horror this week in a second, but just to get you prepped for the Bigfoot at hand, we are going to do like a more personal story, not to us, but a singular account basically.
Yeah.
We'll lay out some like foundational knowledge of the location at hand and kind of the peoples that were there for the centuries before this, but we kind of have one big event that we'll talk about.
It's a nice historic event.
A siege by Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So before that, though, Doss, horror this week?
I mean, I was talking to you a little bit before off mic, but I had a sleep paralysis experience the other day, like 2 days ago. It was weird, man.
You want to walk me through that?
So I was having like a normal, like semi-lucid dream. It was weird. I was in like an episode of House, like the doctor show. Really weird. But I like immediately woke up out of that, and I was like laying down. And I was like still really tired. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna like try to go back to sleep and like roll over. And I realized I couldn't move at all. I was like, oh fuck. So that's when I started getting kind of scared because I'm like, oh shit, sleep paralysis. But then I noticed there's like I never had this before, but it was like this, like almost like ringing like radio frequency in my ear, like almost when you like clap your ears, but it was like more mechanic and like radio, but it was like this like oscillating like.
Okay, so listeners, take your headphones out, cup your hand, and then kind of tap them over your ears.
Just do that, but imagine it was just coming from like in your ears, like nothing was touching my ears, and that was weird. I'm like, what the fuck? It felt like it was getting like louder and like closer.
Was it just a sound, or was there any sort of like feel? Like
it was feeling like something was getting close.
Okay,
like I don't know.
Yeah,
and then eventually it felt like, because I was on my side and I couldn't really move. It felt like something kind of like pulled me and like flipped me over almost. Like it pulled me into like from like the shoulder kind of, and then I like went to like just black. It was like a void. That was freaky. But then I was able to like break myself out of it. Then I woke up, but it was nuts, man.
Dang,
so scary.
So
scary.
Do you think that you
yanked into something from like behind?
Do you think that you were actually pulled? Like, did you feel your body turn, or was that all like internal feeling?
It's how it felt like something like grabbed me, like grabbed from like behind like my shoulder, like that, and just like pulled it.
Oh, weird.
It was weird. And then it was like all went black because it like felt like the I don't know, the void like was on this side, and like as I like moved over there, it like went over.
Fell into it.
Yeah, it like went over. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, you're talking about this like ear thing, and that was, I know on the walk over here we were kind of talking about it, but I'm like that like inner ear balancing. What you have like those bones, or just like there's like the balancing structure that the equilibrium center of like your body is like within the ear, and you're talking about like things going black or like just like falling backward. I almost feel like that oscillating feeling almost feels like something that was like
vertigo.
Yeah, like some kind of like purposely made. It's like sounds like some kind of void monster's power.
Getting fucking hit with something.
Yeah.
There's like something there. I just didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to. I was really scared to see that. I was like, oh shit, it's coming.
That's haunting.
Oh, it's here coming.
Yeah.
I gotta get out. I'm like, I know if I can just like move my fingers and my legs, I can like get out of this. And it was like slow. Like I could like move my fingers and toes and then like slowly get my arms moving, and then I like popped out of it.
Before you leave today, we're gonna both take that liquid gold.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that.
And then I'm gonna hit you with the holy water.
Yeah, please. I cleansed my place with some sage in my singing bowl, but probably gonna do it again.
You gotta hit it up a couple times. Generally, if there is a spirit or something in there, they're gonna take the first one as just a challenge.
Yeah.
If it's anything powerful enough to actually affect your day to day, it's also powerful enough to like not really be fucked with by sage. You gotta.
You gotta
but it is
really
a good it's good to like let them know. You're like, hey, we might have some sort of adversarial energy here because I don't necessarily.
Hey, I notice you.
Yeah,
I know you're here.
Or it's
chill, guys.
Yeah, or it's just about not necessarily trying to cleanse it or push them out. It's just like accommodating or like just like appeasing and not to say you don't want to appease by like rolling over and then it's you doing whatever they want. But you want to reach some kind of middle ground. If you can
boundary
if you can create like even like a space on your altar for like whatever entity it might be, and just like even like an item to like represent that, just so they have like a house basically, like something to incorporate themselves into. So at this point, they're just trying to break right into your soul. It sounds like
they're trying to get inside my body.
I'll know I don't know, guys, listeners. If Dawson ever seems a little off in the episode, just hit me with the email, and we'll know that it's not him anymore.
Yeah, if my eyes start changing like reptile.
We've already confirmed that he's not from our world, and he's from a changeling universe. From the as we all know, the Red Temple is the center point of the universe, and I don't need to get into the
popped out of an old one. I'm missing in that one.
Yeah. I don't need to get into the nitty gritty of the lore that we set up 20 episodes for about 5 minutes, but it's still definitely in play.
Yeah.
I've also been thinking about how episode 20 we went into the future and we have not come back since. So technically speaking, we are in the year like 2190 or something like that. So this is all kind of a retrospective, really.
Yeah.
Anything else horror this week, Dawes?
That was pretty much it for me. Nice. That's all I've been able to think about.
And then we've been just busy beavers at work, so
Oh yeah,
the hauntingness there. I did do. There was
Well, I've had some shit at work
at the Kava bar. There was. I think that you might have been there for because I was just told about it. But a drink slid across the bar, and immediately after they felt, and it wasn't water. It wasn't like wet underneath. It was dry. No. There was no fans.
Nothing would have made sense. Like no fans can move one of those shells.
Yeah, the cups are too heavy. So there, and it was like all seen. So that's interesting.
Well, the day after that too, I was mopping in the morning, and there's that little bench, and there's a pool cue on it, and it was just sitting there, and I was like kind of on the other side of the pool table, so I definitely didn't bump it, and it literally just didn't roll off, it flew off, like you know how because it's round, it's gonna roll.
Yeah,
it went the long way.
Oh, it got pushed somebody was using it almost.
What the hell was that? I just ignored it because I'm not going to give you fucking...
You're talking about thrown spearways?
Yeah. I'm that doesn't just happen.
Mm-hmm. Damn. Yeah, there's definitely something there.
Weird.
We'll have to
some weird happenings with that, yeah.
A bit. If you're local, we're going to address that. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we have been hearing the stories about it. Horror this week for me, the Kickstarter, the Red Temple Oracle deck is forever in development. I feel like I mention it every episode, but I did make some more headway on it. I developed a whole tarot cloth, a 22-inch by 22-inch cloth, altar cloth that'll be laid down, and I put some specific sigils on it, and I think it looks super sick. I got it ordered. I have all the final products getting shipped to me. It just takes 2 weeks for them to come. Then I'm gonna put it all together and hopefully get this thing fucking started. I have to do some more formatting on the actual grimoire of it, but we're basically there.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited. And hey, I've learned a little bit more about just cards in general as I've done this, because I got the more high quality card stock that has this woven kind of texture to it.
Oh yeah.
Which feels great, right? Just in the hand. But also I learned that they do that because then it captures tiny little air pockets in between the cards, so you can shuffle them better.
They don't vacuum onto each other.
They're not going to seal together, which I like that. I'm nice. This is quality.
That's what you're going to want.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's horror this week. I've been collecting my VHS tapes and cassettes of all things horror. I got these like Halloween sounds on tape coming to me. I'm really excited about. Probably start playing those in the background.
Yeah.
Get the actual cassette tape going. We might just rock that. And I know the listeners, it's not really excited to you, but me and Dawson, we're actually watching TV
Yeah, this
right
is
now.
nice.
I mean,
Yeah, we got the VHS in
set,
right
yeah,
now.
I set the old tube TV up across from us, and I got a custom over the garden wall VHS made. And
nice.
so now I was just running through that on the 4x3 thing. This might all just be gibberish to you if you don't know like my exact like tendencies and what I like, but you should know if you're this far into the podcast.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. That's horror this week for me, Dawson. You want to dig into this Bigfoot stuff?
Yeah, this historical event.
I also wanted to say, like, recently we've gotten a lot of good Bigfoot videos. There's one specifically that's been sent to me, like, from all over. And even today, before the episode, somebody was, like, mentioning it to us, right? But it's the one, I wish I had it to just pull up, but it's the one where people are walking on the other side of this, like, on two mountains, right? There's, like, a valley between them.
Ravine.
And they're looking across with, like, a camera zoom. And you can see this giant hairy fucking beast that's like at least 7 feet tall, like kind of coming down the mountain and kind of like pushing the trees aside a little bit, and it goes behind something and you lose it, but
you get a pretty good view of it.
It looks
it's
so
pretty clear.
Humanoid, like it would be very hard to convince me that was a bear.
It is 100% not a bear.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you right now, like that's like a freak bear if it is.
Fucking freak bear. And I have
bears don't have that long of legs. Like you can see it's got long legs.
Yeah, that's a
bears
very
have tiny little legs when they're on
very odd, very very clear.
Yeah,
this wasn't like the usual shaky camera blurry thing. It was like this, you could just see it.
It's just like far away, and it's like kind of going in and out of like trees and stuff and like brush. So that's where it's not clear. It's like kind of shaky, but it's like, bro, it's something. It's not like fake. Definitely not a guy in a suit. I don't want to hear that.
Definitely just some of like the most clear stuff we have. And if you're listening, you probably know what I'm talking about. This like extremely new, extremely clear Bigfoot video.
Yeah, it's been a big one.
Pretty sick. So today we're talking about this land around Oklahoma, specifically Hanobia, which is like a little town out there. But to give a little background, I wanted to talk about some of the like native cultures that were there from way before, because it's 1869, I believe, is when this place is like, they finally got like, there's like some sort of post office there, I guess, is like the United States Post Office was established here on August 30th, 1919. Okay, so pretty early. I mean, that's not too long. That's 110 years ago, 106 years ago.
Yeah.
Choctaw Village in 1869. Let's get that picture up right away.
Yeah, hell yeah.
This is what we're looking up. This is what this place in Oklahoma looked like about 200 years ago, 170 years ago. Basically, we have this inhabitants of these the Choctaw, which is a specific Native American group. The community is named Onobia, Choctaw Indian land. The name of the community is pronounced locally Honubby. Honubby. But it's got like an ancient history to it right now. So now we have a bunch of like, I don't know, at least 75% white community here that's just calling it Honubby. Whatever. That's fine.
Yeah. Classic.
Following the Choctaw Indians' relocation to the area over the Trail of Tears and the establishment of the Choctaw Nation here, Honobia became home to the Choctaw settlement. Until statehood, the area was part of the Wade County in the Apookoshinobi district of the Choctaw Nation. Although the nation capital, the national capital, and its stately Choctaw Capitol building were located only 32 miles away, the Tuscahoma Hanobi were and remained isolated. So we're talking about an extremely like niche group of these like there's these, even in like the larger Choctaw group. There's different like I guess they call them like splinter groups, right? Whatever they would be with their
subgroups
with entirely different beliefs or like ideas based off of things in the past and
their own like family tribe, basically.
Yes. So Honobia is located, and we'll talk a little bit about like the Native American aspect of this in a second.
Yeah.
Honobia is located on Little River near its confluences with Honobia Creek and Rock Creek. The community is located in a particularly picturesque part of the Little River Valley.
Nice.
The river at the point is a fast-flowing mountain stream, and its narrow valley is framed by steep mountains on both north and south, whose summits reach between 16 and 18,000 feet in elevation. The mountains are part of the Kaimechi Mountains.
Nice.
So basically, that's what we're dealing with. It's like it's pretty like it's in Oklahoma, but it's very like it's in between these mountains. It's this little valley area, right? In this little valley area, we have what's called this is what they call themselves. All right, the 5 civilized tribes. This is the Cherokee, the Choctaw, the Chickasaw, the Creek, and the Seminole Indians of Oklahoma. That's like what they would refer to themselves as, or maybe to the white man at the time they would say that. It sounds pretty civilized is an interesting term to use for this, I'd say, because I don't need to get into this right now.
Depends on what kind of civilized,
Yes, Cherokee spiritual beliefs are held in common among the Cherokee people, Native American peoples who are indigenous to the Oklahoma and the United Kiowa Band of Cherokee Indians. Some of the beliefs and the stories and songs in which they have been preserved exist in slightly different forms in the different communities, like we talked about, but they all kind of have the same base idea. They still form a unified system of theology here. So let's talk about these people, these 5 tribes and these people indigenous to Oklahoma have many different kinds of like Bigfoot. You know, we're not just talking about they have like different words for different ones. I'm gonna put a few.
That's why there's like different types of like squirrels, rabbits,
right? So
bears,
it's
like there's brown bears, black bears, grizzlies, polar bears, like all kind of polar bears.
We have the Yunui Tsundi, or the little people. These are a group of spiritual beings spoken about as little people, and they can only be seen by humans when they want to be seen. It is said that they choose to present themselves and to appear as any other Cherokee would, except that they are small and with very long hair. That's what this guy right behind me is. This little like hairy.
That reminds me of like the duendes and the gnomes.
And what you mentioned earlier, I guess maybe off mic, you were talking about like trolls and all like this in the Nordic folklore. We have these trolls that seem very close to this.
Like that's just
The little people can be helpful, but one should be cautious while interacting with them because they can be very deceptive. It is not common to talk about an experience you're not supposed to talk about your experiences with the little people. Instead, one might relay an incident that happened to someone else. It's kind of all supposed to be like secondhand. But I think, and we'll get into that, but a lot of like either seeing or talking about these things can bring just like a specific type of luck, which can be not great luck sometimes.
Well, it'll like give you, it's similar to like the gnomes where you give it gifts and it brings you like really good fortune. Like your business will take off. All this stuff will start doing really well. But like, they eventually start taking more and more and more and greater like requests to eventually they'll ask for like your firstborn child.
Yeah. And that's what happened to Dawson. And then we got that changeling guy instead of him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's exactly right. I mean, it is said that if you bother the little people too often, you will become confused in your day-to-day life. Although they possess healing powers and helpful hints, they are not to be disturbed. This is like just like a little hairy guy, like a little hairy Bigfoot guy. Now,
Littlefoot.
We also have it's a little foot. Yeah,
it's a little guy.
We also have the Kelowna Aeliski. They are or the Raven Mockers. They are spirits who prey on souls of the dying and torment their victims until they die. After which they eat the hearts of their victims. They are invisible except to a medicine man, and the only way to protect a potential victim is to have the medicine man who knows how to do it just like drive them off, basically. So this is knowledge that I don't have. Like I don't know this is something that only gets passed between medicine men down to like The Apprentice and all this. So this is again like that knowledge that is not written. It's not really meant for my fucking bleach white eyes. This skin of mine I can't hold. You know what I mean? Some of these things here they're
racist.
I mean we hear a lot. I mean we're talking a lot about like just like different cultures and like without trying to exoticize these things. Like so many times when we were dealing with the skinwalker stuff, it's like these indigenous people, they were like, we specifically do not want to tell you about this. And it's not even like for the fact of like me not being able to like handle it. Like that's not it. It's because they have these things kind of under control. And if like a bunch of unknowledgeable people know about it, they're going to unleash this thing further into the world. Also like twist it in ways it shouldn't be.
There's also a certain amount of context you need. So if they just told you about it, you wouldn't even like it wouldn't make any sense, and you'd get the wrong idea of it.
Totally.
Where like, because I listened to this thing about these like, there's a podcast. It's called like Obscure Gods, where they were like, this couple is like the guest, and they do this like spiritual work, and they're like native, but they're like more like, you know, southwestern Mexican, so they're kind of more native to like that area, but they're like these like basically like shamanic like medicine like workers, and the woman's like more, she's like, yeah, I've been like, this is like generation after generation after generation, like passed down verbally, this like knowledge and these like systems. And she's like, I just like can't like, she's like, it's not that I'm like forbidden to tell you. It's just like, what, you just won't have the context of all these other stories and like this other lore and stuff to like even understand what it would mean. Like, it'd just be useless, and you'd go and try to do something that you don't fully understand, and then you'd curse yourself.
Yeah,
that's you'd like awaken these demons that you don't
like,
know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like,
it's for like the protection of like sort of like the greater humanity, right? It's like
we have to really have a like, firm, confident understanding and like full context of what this is.
Like, we got this under control. If we tell you, you're not gonna understand what's happening, and you're gonna unleash this shit.
It's not gonna be good.
But how many times do we talk about that with like alchemy, where it's like, if it's written down, you're not getting it. You need to have the master to apprentice bond, and like
you need these like
unbroken in language in general. Like the more you know, I think we talked about this last episode, where it's like just the way that you see, like, language makes the way that you speak your language like makes you perceive things differently.
And it limits things to a certain thing.
Yes, it adds it creates a barrier of knowledge.
How many times you have like thoughts in your head and you're like so excited that you can't even like put words to it, and you get kind of frustrated. Like, I'm sure that happens to like a bunch of people all the time. You see something, you're like, I don't know, because you just can't explain it how you want to in the necessary like way.
And if you are able to like put some word to it, you're gonna say something like Bigfoot, and it's like there's already so many connotations behind it that don't match up to what we're really talking about.
Ape dog man.
Yeah, it's like when you put something in a bottle like that with a word, you kind of put it so you can't reach out to these other sides. So I guess even in this specific Bigfoot series, I'm just telling you like all these different sub-versions. You know, we kind of dig into the different versions of what a Bigfoot is, and I'm just saying these different tribes have all these different like little creatures that seem to either all be different versions of the same thing, or they're all like of this paranormal ecosystem that we just cannot perceive.
There's like spiritual entities. These like different, like, they almost like can come in and out of like dimension or whatever, or perception, whatever.
Well, it reminds me, it said with that one that it could only, that little hairy one that could only be seen if it wanted to be seen. Remember our Christmas episode? We're talking about how you see fairies through like with a Christian, through a Christian lens, and it was like what was the exact spell? You had to have 1 foot through like a loop of a saddle on Christmas Eve, and like make a ring with your finger and look through that, and the saddle has to be like blessed by, and it's but it reminds me, it's like, I wonder if you did that spell, you could see these little guys, like, you know, whether they wanted you to or not, you know.
Right.
Okay, we also have, and I do have an actual like dialogue at the end here, so I just want to run through these guys without taking too much time on each one. We have the Shamp. We might have heard of that before. That's from the Choctaw folklore. It's a and, you know, folklore, basically any with like all like older religions, whenever like a new group of people moves into like a place that's already taken, like what happened with America, pretty much all the old lore and like reality gets turned into like a mythology.
Like history
for some, the history of it gets turned into mythology history. For some reason, like,
or if there's just like enough time between like these stories, or if it's all verbal, it gets written down. It's like, this is just whatever.
I'm not sure how to like articulate that. It's like it's like when a new group like moves in, obviously like you first like replace the history, but also like there's this like thing that happens where you generally do not. It seems like people just never believed it, or like when you like from an
mythology.
older from something from an older culture, when you're moving in, I guess you just like that new like, group just will not believe it.
It's like the Egyptian like hieroglyphs and stuff. Like, they believed like
every time it's seen as mythology,
like,
and it is interesting to see just like a true
even
history
just
get
like,
turned into that, right?
Like Christian mythology and stuff too. It's like, you're just like, oh, these are just like stories, blah blah. It's like, well, some of that shit probably happened, like the Great Floods, like, so that like definitely was a thing that happened.
So that's just, so we have these, the Shamp. These are, in some legends, the Shamp abduct Choctaw women. In others, they are man-eaters. They are sometimes described as giants, and other times as large hairy men, leading some people to associate them with the Bigfoot legend. His biggest feature is the smell. The shamp's smell is so overpowering that a person cannot bear to be around him, making it difficult to fight.
Yeah, gross.
Which we've heard about with like the swamp ape. We also have in Oklahoma, we have so the state of Oklahoma is named from the two Choctaw words Okla and Homa, meaning red people. Being that Honobia is arguably the center of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, it is only fitting to describe the Bigfoot as what they really are, big people, or Okla Chito, which is a phrase of the two Choctaw words used together, describes the Bigfoot Sasquatch. Okla Chito means big people. But it is Oklahoma. It's like there's like almost this like Oklahoma isn't named after Bigfoot. It's named after like they used to call him like Redskin. That's just like an old term. I guess they would even call them themselves that if they're putting that in like the name of it, or maybe not. I don't know. Naming states is like a bizarre thing. But having that little bit of lore, like it's right there, and they would call them the Okla Chito. We have so if you ask most elders of any of the Indian nations in North America if they've heard. You may hear the words people, tribe, or old ones. Just about 96% of most native tribes. 96% of most native tribes is an interesting statistic.
Yeah.
Here in North America,
there's just so many.
Believe in their culture that the Bigfoot or the Sasquatch is a type of tribe of people long forgotten and has a significant reason why they are on the earth.
Yeah.
Basically, we see so many times with this stuff. It's like we just have them in every legend. They seem to be these old shamans. These people. We have the more words from the Oklahoma region just to show how many there are. We have the Nana Lusa Chito, which is the big black thing. Ooh. We have the Hatak Hisha Liwa, which is the hairy man. And the Hatak Holba, or man-like or looks like a man, which is a weird word.
Yeah.
A word to say looks like a man but is not a man. Because we have the word man, and then they have this other thing in their culture where they're
looks like a guy.
Looks like a guy, which is just always freaky. Yeah.
Yeah.
We also have all right, we're almost done with just these different lists of them.
The fact of just like having that like word is weird.
We also have the Lofa. It's a malevolent ogre-like monster in the Chickasaw folklore. His name literally means flayer or skinner. It references some of his gruesome habits, like flaying skin from his victims. Some legends, he attempts to abduct Chickasaw women. That seems to happen quite a bit. He is sometimes described as a giant, other times as a large, hairy, smelly man.
Gross.
Like, and this guy behind you, the weird guy that was behind you, where is he at? Grab him out. Oh, jeez.
Nice.
I guess he's still hiding there. The dude with the whip behind Dawson, it's hard to see right now, but he that's called the. So the Creek people have a the Creek tribe has the they called Tall Man. They just have something called the Tall Man.
Weird.
He is around 10 feet tall or a little more in height and covered in gray hair and has a bad odor which resembles a stagnant, muddy pond. His color helps him blend in with the trees. He also has a whip-like tail that he cracks, which sounds like thunder. And if hearing this while in the woods, this will often cause a person to get lost. Ooh.
Oh, terrible.
This guy's got like some real like paranormal abilities to him.
10 feet tall is really scary.
Well, you see some of these. Okay, I think that's just like the natural height of an adult Bigfoot. I think we see these ones that are like 6 or 7. They're still kind of adolescent, and I think as they grow up, they probably get either better at hiding or like moving through dimensions or whatever it is. You probably don't see
they can
these
just
bigger
cloak
ones
themselves
as
a little
much.
better.
Yeah. Let's see. There are even older stories that it was his wiener and not his tail.
Nice.
But Christian missionaries changed that and the influence of them kind of in the last half of the 19th century and early 20th century.
That's a little crude, guys.
Yeah. So now he carries a club that he has made from also, aside from his wiener in his hand. So that's why he's holding 2 things. Let me get this picture out, man.
Yeah. Gotta get the one. Oh. There it is.
This guy. Oh, gosh. This guy right here.
Yeah.
He looks, I pointed out to Dawson, he reminds me of like a Krampus figure almost.
Yeah, he has that vibe.
Which just, I don't know.
The club, he's got the whip tail.
Yeah, he has like a little rat tail. But they're saying earlier versions of him, it's just his dick.
Yeah.
Even scarier. Just like
crazy.
A 10-foot tall man covered in gray hair holding his wiener,
cracking his whip dick,
cracking his wiener so hard that it cracks like thunder, and you just forget everything. I mean, that's terrifying.
You get lost. I mean, I'd get lost.
He also in his other hand, but he's not carrying his tail or wiener. He carries a club that he has made from a tree limb that has broken off, which you see that a lot as well with like Bigfoot like grabbing up like a huge log and like what do they call that? Where they're like slamming it against trees. It's like a behavior.
The knocking or
knocking.
something.
That's what it is, right? That sounds like.
It also
that.
seems like a wand.
It does, dude. He's got this.
Be a wand of some sort,
right? It's a tree branch to us, but he's so fucking tall. I mean, I'm sure something like with this innate paranormal ability is probably just that probably becomes like a third hand like magical weapon. This little tree stuff.
Well, I know like with like Bigfoot sightings and like the area that they are around, there'll be like those like there'll be like snap trees and stuff and like almost like pyramid shapes or like triangles, you know. They're all like bent in a certain direction. I don't know if that's
well, it is, and it's just what that is. It's just telling
magic.
that for some reason this is like that's just shown in like all these different cultures that he does this, and it's not like they were sharing shit in the 1400s. Like,
no.
From what I heard and from what I can tell is when a group of two different people and pretty much before the 1500s met each other, they just all kill each other every time. It seems like that's just like consistent throughout history. So there's not a lot of knowledge being shared all the time, especially with like paranormal. Like the first thing you do isn't gonna be like, you know about Bigfoot, guys. I mean, so you're trying to like, if you are trying to actually share a culture like in those days, it's like the last thing you're gonna do is like bring in like these magical fucking. You know, it's like
unless you're all just doing like peyote together.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you might be like, what are we doing with it?
Well, there's like the religious indoctrination of it. You know, like with like Christian, you know, like what is that? Missionaries, I guess, and missionaries. If I guess that probably happens with other religions too, I suppose. But so I guess you do get talking about that kind of stuff. But I don't know at what point in the conversation. As like an indigenous person, you're just like, hey, that 10-foot guy is cracking his dick all over. Watch out.
Yeah,
it'll make you forget everything. Also, I
think they were like a lot more like spiritually minded with a lot of things too, though. So like the shaman would have been like talking about a lot of stuff, and it's like you meet a new tribe, and then you like realize you're friendly. You're like, all right, let me tell you stories of these like beings.
I'm sure like two shamans getting together from different tribes, you can get all kinds of paranormal knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
All kinds of stuff from the band. Okay, we're not even done. This tall man, the tree. It said that the tree that he breaks his club off from, the tree would die soon. Soon after that, women would use the holes left in the tree to bury stillborn babies.
Oh no.
That's just another part of this. We also have the Kaloa, which is a kind of hairy man-eating ogre from the Greek mythology. Some of these translations just come. Some recent Greek storytellers have translated it as gorilla, but it's like there's not any gorilla in Oklahoma, so.
Yeah, they didn't know what gorillas were.
I have even more here, but honestly, we get the idea, right?
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. Let's get into one of them here. So a lot of this will be read in like a first-hand fashion, as this was actually like emails back and forth between the BFRO, the Bigfoot Research Association, because they were getting called. They had multiple officials coming out at different times. So we're talking about the siege of Honobia today.
Yeah.
This incident took place at a rural homestead outside the town of Honobia, Oklahoma, in January of 2000. Some BFRO contacts went to visit the family. They stayed overnight and were impressed by what the hell was going on. They thought it was. They also got to like see some of the stuff. Weeks later, we have television stations and newspapers in Oklahoma mentioning the incident, but never telling the whole story. We kind of have most of the story here today, though. So this is
interesting.
This will be basically mid-January 2000. We have the first messages received by the BFRO, the Bigfoot Research Organization, from the uncle of the Honobia family. So this is the first person from the uncle to the BFRO. Too many incidents to mention here. Please have someone contact us. This is no hoax, and my brother is afraid for his family. This creature is getting bolder every time it returns. The thing is huge, walks upright, smells like musky urine, burned hair type odor. He repeatedly comes back in the early morning hours after midnight and harasses them until just before dawn. It has on more than one occasion tried to enter their home.
Just visualizing this.
Yeah, let's stop right there and visualize that. We talked about where the town is. It's extremely cut off from the world.
Middle of nowhere,
middle
Oklahoma.
of fucking nowhere, Oklahoma, at night between midnight and before dawn. Some huge, hairy, musky smelling creature,
Big old piss
literally
man.
trying to break into the home.
Big stinky piss man.
He continues, "We don't know where to turn. Everyone thinks we are crazy when we mention it. Please, we don't know what to do, but I do know that something needs to be done. There are stories we could tell that would make the hair stand on your neck." The message went on to explain that the family was having problems over the past 2 years with one or more nuisance animals that were prowling around outside the home at night. The animals were stealing deer meat from an outside shed. The situation had escalated when the animals tried to get into the home. At one point, the father went outside to confront the animal. He got a good look at one, took a shot at what he claimed was a Bigfoot running back into the woods. We contacted the family after receiving the report. The man we spoke with, and this is from the BFRO's website, so this we is the BFR communicating with them. Mm-hmm. The man we spoke with was the brother of the family. Excuse me. The man we spoke with first was the brother of the father of the family, the uncle. He insisted that they were not kidding around. At least one Bigfoot was coming around the homestead almost every night. He was coming onto the porch, messing with a window, wiggling the doorknob as if it wanted to get into the house, and even stealing deer meat out of the freezer that was kept in an open-sided out building. I'm gonna get that. We got a cat that wants to come in, or a Bigfoot.
Keep reading.
Whatever it was, it wasn't alone. The family could hear chattering and screaming from the hills when the prowlers were near the home. The wife was too fearful to remain in the house, and she and the kids even relocated temporarily while the men armed themselves with assault rifles and prepared to defend the homestead against the nightly prowlers.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, I'd be grabbing.
Literally, like, we're at the point where, like, your wife and your kids are actually not staying home. Even if this is just, like, some people coming to fuck around on your shit, this is just way too far. Like, this isn't the prank anymore. When you get, like, a wife and children afraid.
And when you're, like, trying to enter homes.
And the husband.
Smelling like piss. And the uncle. Stealing meat.
Yeah. And the husband and the uncle are now, they're brandishing assault rifles now because they need to, like, take care of the issue.
I would have. As soon as something tries to, like, enter my open my door, dude, I'm freaking out.
We're gonna let Dawson get us situated here. And I'm just gonna put a fast forward here, so we kind of get like little squeaks as we're moving around. It's not gonna be.
We're good.
Yeah. All right. On the night before the first message was received, the father fired at one of the animals and thought he may have hit it. The following morning, he found a substantial trail of blood in the yard. Thought it was from the animal he had shot. Let's get you comfy. You get comfy. You good? All right.
We're good.
So, like, we have a trail of blood leading from this thing. This is literally a nightly occurrence. One of the BFRO investigators, an airline pilot from Ohio, he's a pilot.
Nice.
He's a fucking level-headed dude. Offered to visit the scene to hopefully collect some of the blood that was left in the wake of the previous night's shooting. Another BFRO investigator made contact with the residents by phone and began updating all the other BFRO members via email. The email stated, "I finally spoke with the shooter last night. When I spoke with him directly, I got the facts straight about the situation at the house and the blood. The shooter is named Tim." That's the father. The uncle, the brother who originally contacted us, is named Michael. Tim says it was definitely a Bigfoot that he shot at and thought he might have hit it at approximately 70 yards away at night. There's a trail of blood in the woods, but it leads to a fresh deer kill, not away from the area where the Bigfoot was standing when he was fired at. Tim says the Bigfoot ran after he shot at it, but then he and his brother could hear it and others on the hillside for several hours after the shooting. Now it's not mentioned in the article a lot, but there's a sound that Bigfoots make that literally nobody in the community knows how to communicate or like enunciate or write down. But there's like a sound they can try to make, but it's like to even like describe the sound, like it's hard to find like descriptions of it. But what I will say is that there are when the sound is made, there's investigators that have heard the sound and then they hear people like enacting it. They will have people enacting it the exact same sound from Oklahoma all the way to like South America and shit. You hear it, it's wild. Some of these investigators are like, obviously there was no crossover, but it's like the sounds that they both say they cannot really tell me like right out. It's like they will make this sound.
They'll do their best.
They'll do this thing, and it's like, and it's eerie how like similar they are.
I'd love to hear it. I think I've heard it before.
That
documentaries.
And also, so he's shooting at him. These Bigfoots are now. There's apparently a group of Bigfoot on this like hillside, like chattering all night. So fucking freaky. Just like, just making whatever noise it is. Just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just all night. It's so fucking freaky. It's like shining your flashlight off the porch into the darkness, just trying to like, So
yeah.
Again, Tim says the Bigfoot ran after he shot it, but then he and his brother could hear it and others on the hillside for hours after the shooting. That suggests to me that he didn't even wound it, and all the blood is from the deer. Miles and Roger will be there in a few hours. This is all the email. Miles and Roger will be there in a few hours and see this all for themselves and thoroughly look over the area. They will be armed. Roger's father, a very skilled 72-year-old bear hunter, will remain on the property possibly for a few days. Tim says he doesn't care what we do there, but if the animal comes back to the house and scratches at the window again, he will go out and try to kill it. He's had to send his kids to stay with relatives, and he and his wife are clearly terrified. The BFRO volunteer Roger Roberts is a well-respected veteran private investigator in Oklahoma. He was in military intelligence in Vietnam, then a police officer for many years in Oklahoma before becoming a PI. So these are like legit people coming out. This like BFRO isn't just a bunch of fucking whatever you'd think like these people.
It's not like the like Finding Bigfoot show.
Yeah, it's like this is now we have a pilot and a military vet and a police officer who's also a PI. Like this guy has
these guys have investigated things.
He's on a first-name basis with law enforcement officials throughout Oklahoma and is very familiar with every jurisdiction. Both Miles and I were very impressed by him after speaking with him at length on the phone. Roger chuckled when I said we were wondering why Tim hadn't called the police about this. Roger said there are hardly any sheriffs in the area because there's a lot of weed growing in South Oklahoma, and the federal government routinely does these like sweeps around, and and they often find arresting like crooked deputies all the time. So there's just not that many police officers out there. The backwoods people do not talk to police if they can help it. Roger says this mentality is the norm for southeastern Oklahoma, firmly rooted over generations. It's just like you're not telling this police officer fucking shit.
They're all growing weed.
Yeah, they're all right.
They're all growing weed. They don't want to talk to sheriff.
Tim wants us to take care of his problem. He doesn't want the Bigfoot coming back to his house anymore, and he doesn't care what it takes to make it stop. He will not move and not hold back from shooting it if it returns. I told him that we're sending some people who will help him figure out what should be done. I said the bear hunter will shoot it if there's no other way to handle it, but in any case, let us handle it. There may be no other way to handle it because tranquilizing it would be, as learned last year, basically impossible to arrange, especially if it needs to be done within a few weeks. This game may be over much sooner than that. This is all through the emails, right? I think you just can't get tranquilizer stuff. Like you can't just like get tranks. I mean, that's like crazy behavior to like just have. You need to have people come out there with.
You
this
need
shit
like the DNR kind of shit. You need like the wildlife.
The presence of more people with rifles at the location will be the best deterrent to the animal, whatever it is, while the situation is being assessed, and we're recording audio and video there. We have always known that in the natural course. Excuse me. And I like this part. We have always known that in the natural course of things, there would someday be an overly aggressive Bigfoot that would get itself killed by someone protecting his family and property. This may be the one, inevitably. Matt. So that was Matt's email.
Nice, Matt.
A day after that, we have these another correspondence here. Miles and Roger's father are at the location and setting up. I spoke with Tim's wife briefly. She reiterated how frightened they were of this thing and described some of the incidents. Far from jumping to conclusions, she said her and her husband had denied the whole thing to themselves for a few years. So again, like when you look at any kind of paranormal case, like any dialed-in story like this, it's like, are these people trying to make money off it? What's happening?
A lot of time they're in denial about it.
They were trying to.
You can't.
Yeah, they were trying to get away from this.
They're literally at your door.
Yeah. It wasn't until after the deer meet, three complete quartered deer had all disappeared from the large chest-high freezer in the outdoor shed that the intruders started trying to get into the house at night. So, like, once they cleared out the freezer from all the deer meat, they finally tried to get into the house. But it's like, whole deer being taken out of this freezer and it's like lugged away, right? Pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And even more of this, we'll see. The recent deer kill found outside has not been shot. One of its legs was violently twisted and broken. It had clearly been carried, not dragged, to the spot where it was found. The most interesting thing was how the predator pulled out the internal organs. This ain't how your dad did it, bud.
Yeah.
The belly of the deer had not been opened. The opening was up between the neck and the rib cage. The predator made a hole large enough to stick its arm in and apparently reaching down from above and grabbed the rib cage and pulled out all the organs.
That's nuts.
He literally reached through the top of the fucking head basically and pulled out all the gore.
That's fucked up.
Now your dad's pretty like manly, pretty woodsy. Would he ever attempt such a thing?
Nah, usually
Is this
you do it from the bottom usually.
Yeah, is this like possible? Like for a man, would you say? Like to if they were really trying?
Man,
could you?
I would never think that would be the easiest way to do it.
I'm asking Dawson because he's like more in.
Because usually you like
hunting stuff.
You like cut it open and it kind of you cut it open all the way down
and it kind of falls
like from the neck, and then you like grab. There's like one spot you grab which is all pretty much connected, and you try to just get it all out in one go. But you kind of just like scrape it off, just empty it out the back. I would never think just to like have one small hole to pull it all out.
How likely is it that a man pulled this deer body here, like carried the deer body here, and then like opened it up from the top and pulled all the gore out?
It seems like a really weird way to do that.
It is insane. I love that part. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? Miles and Roger are surely photographing all of this right now. There's no doubt in the lady's mind. No doubt in the lady's mind on the main question. She's adamant that it is not a bear. The loud vocalizations.
Definitely not a bear doing it like that.
It's just not a fucking bear.
Bear's not gutting anything.
It's not reaching its hands into the...
No.
The loud vocalizations, tree thrashing, chattering, and whistling outside the house at night are the most noticeable, reoccurring things. There was considerably more noise during the night that the deer was killed. Note that the vocalization and tree thrashing aspects were not present on either the South Carolina location or the Kentucky location. I expect our three guys will at least hear something tonight. He's talking about two other like investigations they did. As it again from Matt. That's the end of that email.
Nice, Matt.
12 hours later, we get more details because we have three different officials coming out here to check this shit out.
Yeah. So they're like reporting to each other.
So these are all like emails. So we have Roger and Roger's father are there.
Okay.
And then we have Tim who's like on his way there, and they are like, and there's one other. Who's the last guy? There's one other guy that is I believe also like there. And they're all kind of corresponding through email and talking it out, right?
So it's not like three different groups at the same time.
They're all.
Hey,
from
we were there.
They're all from the BFR trying to get the same thing done. They're not like hiding evidence from each other or trying to steal. Yeah, we're not getting anything like that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Shit. Hold on. I may have just lost my place.
Nice.
Okay, so what we're looking at so far is it's a siege. I mean, this is insane, right? So here we go. 12 hours later, we get more details in the emails. I was on the phone with the people at the house last night for a few hours. I was asking questions and listening to what was happening. Things got very hectic at one point. These guys were actually shooting from the porch while I was on the phone. I figured it would be best to let them go at that point and said I'll talk to them later. I don't know as yet all the highlights of what happened. All I know is what I heard last night on the phone and what I heard from Tim and Michael this morning. Michael's the other one. I haven't heard from Miles and Roger yet today. Oh, there's 4 of them. But they will report on what happened and what they brought back with them, if anything. As of this morning, they did not have a body, according to Tim and Michael. This morning, Miles and Roger went to check out a cave in the area where one of them had been seen during the day, according to another local witness who came to speak with Miles and Roger yesterday. So we got like other locals coming out. They're like, there's shit going on.
Saw this thing back at the cave.
Yeah, in the day even. Apparently they all saw a few Bigfoots last night near the property line. I don't know how much, if anything, was gotten on tape. I do know that it was pouring rain all night last night, which complicated things greatly, especially with the recording equipment. I assume they are on their way home. I'll try to call Roger in a few minutes. We have more correspondence here. From my conversations
Nice.
yesterday and early this morning with the residents, we think we figured out what is so different about this situation. The underlying cause seems to be that lots and lots of deer congregate in Tim's property. He's got 30 acres in the mountains, and he plants Austrian snow peas all over the property, especially near the house. Because deer go crazy for them in this time of year, because deer go crazy for them this time of year. People plant these plants specifically to attract deer. It makes them easier to hunt. Many deer come to feed on his property. There's a deer overpopulation problem in the area to start with, so his property is apparently an effective magnet for the deer. There are so many deer. So this is where it's like.
Yeah.
So this is where we get into like how this might be happening, right? Okay. There are so many deer that he doesn't. When he hunts, he just shines off his porch.
Yeah.
And so
Just
he bags lots of deer over on his own property and has been doing this for like years now.
Yeah.
We didn't get into details about each of these incidents, but some of these incidents involved frozen, quartered. Okay.
That's
Excuse me. He and Michael said that on some occasions the deer carcasses were snatched away by something. We didn't get into the details about each of these incidents, but some of the incidents involved frozen, quartered venison being taken from a big freezer in an outside shed with no door. The freezer had no locks, but does have a very heavy lid that needs to be lifted. The frozen deer parts were all taken eventually. When there were none left, Tim and his wife started hearing attempts for something trying to get in the window, a loud hollering outside. So that is like one thing is, so if we're talking about like Bigfoot, they're like, I guess they're eating these deer, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they're almost camping outside. The Bigfoot are almost camping outside the house because they know over years of being trained through this that this man is just shooting deer off the like house, and I'm like, they get used to that sound and stuff. They're not gonna get all scared of these bullets anymore.
They're
and they also
figuring out what's going on.
And they understand that like there's meat here, like that's where we can eat. Like they're kind of like taking from
Free
the haul, right? So that's like maybe why they're even being like, we are getting so many here, is because like over time they're just learning that like this is where the deer are. Yeah. And sometimes the meat just gets taken away.
It's like they probably they might just think it's like an offering.
Right? Yeah. A few times. Yeah. Totally. A few times Tim ran out after it, but it would always flee into the woods. The first time he got a good look at it was the night he shot at it a few nights ago. The most baffling thing for all of us was why these things weren't running away after being shot at. They'd pull back into the trees, then move into different parts of the hillside, and could be seen through the brush with the spotlights reflecting off their eyes. So fucking freaky. But again, like they're not like running they're just retreating, but they're like,
oh, let's get.
But they're not running away because they're just so used to this stuff, right?
Yeah, they're like.
Miles told me on the phone last night that both he and Roger were seeing what Michael and Tim were describing in terms of the red eyes and other movements in the trees. Supposedly, a lot more happened after I got off the phone. Tim and Michael were trying to kill the animals. Apparently, there was more than one targeted at some points, and I asked Roger on the phone if it was possible these guys are just freaked out and shooting at raccoons in the trees. Roger sounded very nervous and didn't want to talk much. He just replied, "No, this is serious business. They've definitely got a problem here." I called back a while later and was only able to talk to Miles and Roger for a few seconds. Miles' last words about it was about what was happening. It's pretty much shoot to kill at the moment. Like it's so intense here right now, dude. There's a Bigfoot siege going on here.
Shit. They're trying to.
They will get into the house. Yeah, they just want the meat, which is scary.
Terrifying.
This morning I asked Tim if he ever spotlights deer. Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. If he ever spotlights deer at night from the porch, he does. Then he established that indeed most of the time when he's spotlighting the woods and shooting from the porch, he's shooting at deer, not Bigfoots. So if the animals who aren't running away from the loud gunshots are some kind of predator like Bigfoot that's been in the area for a while, then those predators may have noticed that sometimes after the spotlight gunshot incidents, a wounded deer would be struggling up the hill trying to get away and will be much easier to catch. That's kind of what I was. Deer will always take off running when they hear gunshots, especially within 50 yards. That's how they knew they weren't seeing deer's eyes when shooting was going on.
Or bears.
The animal may have thought Tim and Michael were taking shots at the deer, as they usually do, and that's maybe why they aren't running away, because they're like cognating. They're like able to understand this, right? The Bigfoots might be hanging around the property waiting to grab a wounded deer. I explained that the predators might not understand that they are the intended targets now, because all they would see is a spotlight shining through the trees toward them, and then a very loud bang from an assault rifle. The animals may be expecting to see wounded deer running toward them up the hill. They may have been watching the pattern for years. It's possible they either don't realize that there are bullets whizzing by them, or they've gotten used to it. At that range, the shot is so loud you wouldn't hear a bullet hitting the tree next to you. They wouldn't see what the guns were pointing right at. They wouldn't see that the guns are pointing right at them because they're being spotlighted, and it may appear to be business as usual. Just like waiting for this shit to be caught.
Yeah, they just see a light and hear a bang.
Where are we at here? Oh shit! All right, nice. Well, okay, so that's like the end of that correspondence.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is the family moves out.
Yeah,
it's one of those and you get those hauntings where they're like, we just gotta go. That's basically what happened. They tried to live there for another 6 months or so, and they just moved away because that's like,
I mean, that's all you can.
That's
do.
like the level of fear and like reality of this situation that they're in is like there is something very Bigfoot
very
shaped,
real happening.
Yeah. There was also like another incident within that. They had this 60-gallon bucket of salt fish, they were calling it, and this bucket was thrown all over and ripped open, even though they in a very violent way, and obviously needing an immense amount of strength to do. It wasn't opened using the latch or whatever. It was just torn open. I don't know.
Freaks, man.
Yeah. So that's from that. Okay. Also, I kind of skipped some of the stuff because I was kind of just getting into the story aspect of it. But when these investigators, especially that day after they rained, there was large human-like footprints measuring between 16 and 18 inches found all around the Hanobia family's cabin. Some prints were cast in plaster by family members and later examined by BFRO investigators. The cabin had exhibited deep scratch marks on the wooden siding, some higher than 7 feet off the ground. Rocks over 6 inches in diameter were found scattered around the property and embedded into exterior walls, like they're being launched, like they're being whipped. Jesus. And caught into this shit. A large log was reportedly thrown into the yard, narrowly missing the cabin. Metal debris, possibly from nearby structures, were thrown onto the roof during one of the attacks. Family dogs refused to go out at night and were cowering indoors during these times. One of the dogs went missing and was later found dead near the tree line. The body was untouched, but appeared deliberately placed. That's weird, right? That's they're oh shit, sorry.
Killed the dog.
The dog by accident, or they found it after it got out, and it just maybe the dog literally died from fear to that can where it literally gets in the situation probably such insane infrasound going at them, these deep tones, and that cowering might just pop the heart, and it's these 10-foot tall creatures might have been
just terrifying,
and then they grab it and they just put it on the
dog just tries to attack him. It's well, I got it.
Yeah, but that also shows a level of understanding that is scary. They're we understand that this is a thing for you, and here it is back.
It reminds me of the missing 411 stuff where the people would go missing and their things are oddly placed,
folded. It's they have their clothes are folded in place with
neatly stacked.
Full mug of coffee just sitting there, not spilled, nothing. Yeah, none of the food. That one person was picking berries,
their
maybe baskets. 10 yards away from their family, and all of a sudden it's they're gone, and the basket is very
set on
very well placed on this thing, and it's not. So I agree.
Similar.
We also have recordings of howls, whoops, wood knocks captured during these events, described as deep, powerful, and distinct from known wildlife. These recordings were reviewed by visiting researchers, but few have been made public. We have basically the descriptions from the family are that they see these massive dark figures in the tree lines, with these estimated to be 8 feet or above.
Ugh.
Right, and they have apparently red eyes, or at least the eyes shine red when they get shined like that.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Footprints castings were deemed authentic. Dermal ridges faintly visible on one of the prints. That's a known. That's if you look at footprints. Maybe we'll get into a whole Bigfoot actual feet episode at some point.
Yeah,
so they kind of do that checking. We'll do a foot episode. Some of y'all are gonna love that.
Oh yeah.
And and all these different howls that match reports and audio recordings from Pacific Northwest to parts of Arkansas and all over the world, really.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how are we feeling? That's essentially. That's that's the episode basically. I have
Yeah.
another local that like commented on some of the stuff because just real quick, it's
Yeah, what'd they say?
okay because it was kind of going into how this is authentic, and again, like they're not trying. It was not a money grab. They literally just moved away. They didn't write a book about it.
Their lives got like fucked up.
They're not doing like Hanobia Siege Con. They're not. There's not like a Bigfoot con there. It's like
no, they're like this sucked.
So this was a comment from a redditor.
We had to move. We didn't want to move.
Yeah, no, they didn't want to move.
I like that spot.
It's a good spot.
Free deer everywhere.
Yeah, 30 acres, dude. Yeah. Free meat. Yeah. So this is a comment on this thing. I've been there and spoken with many of the locals. I've seen the ranch and the surrounding mountains and camped on a private property less than a mile from the site. Spoke to more than one person who still knows and communicates with the brothers. Tried to set up conversations with them, but they had no interest. My 2 cents, this is the comment. The Humphreys hate the topic. That's their last name, apparently. The Humphreys hate the topic. They don't want attention. They feel like their story, which they stand by, has been sensationalized and exploited by the community at large, and they're extremely resentful about all of it. To them, this was a real crisis that threatened and traumatized their family, and they were ridiculed and mocked and left to handle it on their own at first, then exploited as their story became legend. Many people in the town that I spoke with vouch for the veracity of the story and the integrity of the brothers, and have had experiences and sightings themselves. Those who weren't in Hanobia at the time but live there now have little reason to doubt them. I say that I spoke with only because I can't speak for the town at large. Yeah, he's just saying he didn't talk to everybody, but obviously he's talking to enough people to get like a good sample size.
Mm-hmm.
I admittedly spent most of my time when not in the mountains interacting with the locals at the one general store or deli in town that just so happened to be Bigfoot themed. Nice. So they see like the town is taking they're trying to make something out of it. The family is like, that fucked us up. My kid is traumatized now. The ranch is on one of the main roads through town and is close to the street, which is in between them and the mountains. But back then, when the event purportedly took place, the main road was not a paved road in the way it is today. They no longer live there, and I believe the owners have added another shed or building on the property since they moved in. I just don't see what they would have to gain if it were a hoax. They weren't seeking attention with the story when the story first came out, and they're not seeking attention today. As the Bigfoot lore goes, they hit the jackpot with the level of interest in them and their story, and have had and continue to have plenty of opportunities to grift and make money off their legendary lore status in the community.
Yeah.
Hell, the town's singular draw for tourism is the story now, and they have inspired one of the bigger Bigfoot festivals. So I guess they do have a con there, but if the family did not create this thing, like that's the difference.
Yeah, they're not like involved.
They're
like, I'm staying away from this.
Yeah, they if they were making the story up, would they have not taken the opportunity to capitalize off a hoax, since it would be one of the few times ever they could actually capitalize from a Bigfoot hoax? Because people don't make money off of almost any paranormal hoax anyway. I mean, for a few years they do, and then they get totally destroyed.
Well, even then, it's like you're gonna get like a movie deal, terrible one.
Yeah,
you're not gonna get much.
At this point, licensing their story for a book or showing up at some festivals as featured guests or agreeing to a documentary would be like free money. But by all accounts, they want no part of it.
Yeah,
that's basically what the comment says. They
like, we don't want to think about it anymore.
They just don't want it. They just don't want it to be a part of their reality.
We didn't want it to be anything to begin with.
And that's the Siege of Hanobia, Dawson. I got more like little details here and there, but I kind of just like the bulk of the story just being like, yeah, almost like it was locked into like legend. It's like this is a piece of Bigfoot like legend now, and I guess I believe it because the people that it happened to are just like fucking off so hard. Like it's just like
Well, even if they weren't, like even if they did choose to be in the limelight, like that,
I would still
something happened.
Yeah, something happened.
Something was going on.
We got the reports. We have the physical
evidences of people seeing like
scratches like over like the 7-foot mark on the house. Is like,
scratches,
scary, dude.
Deer missing, just going missing, like
deer getting all their gore pulled out of them from the inside out.
Spotting these things with like spotlights, hearing it all, like
there's something to this thing.
Case closed.
Yeah,
Bigfoots.
I really like just like exploring like
Squatching.
Just one. I think some of the other Bigfoot episodes have been very like.
Theorizing.
Theorizing and kind of throwing that around. This was just, here's what happened. Take it or leave it. How you feeling?
Feeling good. That's a wild story.
Yeah, dude.
I feel bad for him.
I do
Makes
too.
me sad.
By the end, I was like, oh,
It
they
seemed like
moved
they had a
out, dude.
really good thing going there,
Yeah.
and now they're just like, I guess we have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
We have to leave. We can't live like this.
Yeah.
That's tragic.
Yeah. Damn.
That sucks.
It really does. It really does.
Damn.
I was almost going to launch into a whole other Bigfoot story. I have a really good one about some next time, man.
Save it for next time.
Next
Okay.
time. I hope
Next
y'all
one.
like the year of Bigfoot as
We're
we
doing
go.
Bigfoot,
What is
baby.
this, number 5, number 6 on the we gotta
Yeah.
do 12 of these puppies. So I'll get to that story I was about to tell you. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Doss, thanks for sitting with it. I know this was a lot of like, you know, when I bring in these stories, it is a lot of just me like reading them. But you had some really good input on like what the hell's going on here.
I like stories,
Yeah.
man.
This has been Pumpkin Hill Radio. I've been Travis Wormwood. That's Dawson Trailer.
Bye.
We're both your hosts. Goodbye.
Love you. Bye.
All right.
Sick.
Sweet. Oh, that was also streaming the whole time too. Yeah.
Oh, nice. We're streaming. What up?
Yeah. We're leaving the stream now.